Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Lilu nishmasimi mirosi ruspas Mordechai. Hayoim. Shivo shloishim yoim shehim chamisha shavuos ushnei yomim ba'omer or la'omer. Dedication to the holy Neshamos of the Meron Tragedy and Refuah Shleima for all the injured. It's a line from Bar Yochai. Hu yavam l'stev aleinu adinenu Bar Yochai. I saw Reb Gershon Edelstein said yesterday, they asked him what's pshat in this. So he said, sometimes the generation needs a kapara, a certain zetz, and there's the Akash Baruch Hu picks out some tzaddikim, and they're mechaper for the generation. They're our carbon. He didn't say this, but Mendy told me the lashon. They're our carbon tzibur. And he said, I thought it was very interesting because he said, what should be mekabel? You should be mekabel on yourself, not to speak lashon hara, and not to be makpid. He said, not to be makpid. And what's interesting about that? That's today's daf. Today's daf is about not being makpid. All right. I saw another thing. It gave me a little chizuk because I said here during the shir the other day about people throwing things at other people. And I saw the Kalina Rebbe said this in his speech. That was his main point. He said, how could Yidden throw stones at each other and call each other Nazis and different names and different things? He says it's unbelievable that a Yid would do that to another Yid. I was very impressed by him. He didn't care about what other people are going to say about him in his speech. It was beautiful. Rabbi Isai, is there more? There might be another. Yes, sorry. Lirfuas Elazar Chayim ben Chaya Sara b'seich shar Choli Yisrael, to the success of the procedure that is done today. Refuah Shleima. I thought this is very interesting. I just showed this picture a couple of weeks ago. A chassid, an Amerikanish guy, I called him. He was very insulted because I said he lives in Efrat, but he really lives in Elazar, which is in Efrat, across the street. But it's like accusing somebody that lives in Lawrence that he lives in Far Rockaway or something like that, chas v'shalom. Or telling somebody he lives in Borough Park, he lives in Kensington, whatever. Those, you understand what I'm talking about. But first of all, once I'm pulling out his picture, Chaim Snow is a phenomenal videographer, and he actually came down from Elazar 2 days ago and spent hours with us tweaking the cameras, and he came to my home to tweak my camera for the 8-minute daf, so yishkoyach to him. I found very interesting that these two wrote me an email independently of each other. They didn't know that each other are writing an email. I want to read the first one from Yisrael Goldstein, the Chassid. It's a classic to me, this one. It moved me a lot yesterday when I read it. I actually sent it to Nissan Al-Gans and Yossi Klein, and I said, maybe this is a good email for this week's Ami. L'chvoid Moiri Rabbi. We say every day after Shacharis, Animame be'emuna Shleima v'yis HaMashiach. And in Mirz Hashem, he will come any day. But when he does, he's going to be Mekabes Nitcham Yisrael, and we'll be so excited to be all together. The Mashiach might ask, why are you so excited to be with all different types of Yidden? What did you do before I came to show that that you love and cherish every Yid? And with that, all of Klal Yisrael will respond to Mashiach that we should look back to last week on Lag B'Omer and see that there was not a Jew in the world that didn't truly feel the pain of another Jew. But why wait for a tragedy? Let all of Klal Yisrael show their love every day and all the time. He says like this, I've done my share of travels with the Kiruv group around the States to all different types of communities. But I haven't seen anything like the camaraderie that takes place at MDY Global. Sitting every night on Zoom with all walks of life, making a scene with all types of dress wear styles and designs, traveling for hours and joining in on simchas with people we have never physically met before, Tehillim groups, chesed groups, giving out gemars, etc., and the list goes on. I stand tall and proud to call myself an MDY member because I know that when Mashiach does come and he asks this question, I won't be standing there with my tongue hanging out. Lots of love to all of Klal Yisrael. Right? It is beautiful. You have Dr. Avi Factor's Haskama. Here's one from Chaim Snow real quick. We got to go, but since they were in the same picture, I got to read his as well. It's beautiful. Chevli Mashiach it's called. Dear Rebelli, it took a fair amount of effort to break away from seeing the news after Shabbos to join the daf via Zoom. But there was something in the Mishnah yesterday that gave us something to think about. It spoke about how the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash was full of people by the time the rooster crowed on Yom Tov, so that people could bring their karbanos immediately after the morning Talmud. As your Rebbe are always keen to remind us, we learn these things because very soon we'll need to know what to do when Mashiach comes. So in exactly 2 weeks from tonight, he's writing then, on Sunday, in the early morning hours of Shavuos, perhaps, we'll be standing on some very sturdy structures with a plaque of 45 names on it to remind us of the Chevli Mashiach. All right, Rabbi Sai, today's Daf Chav Gimel, and we are holding like 6 lines from the bottom. Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Shmuel. Why did the kingdom of Shaul only last 2 years? Didn't last long and didn't go to his descendants. It's literally counterintuitive. He came from a perfect lineage. He had perfect yichus. You go in shiduchim, yichus. He had perfect yichus, and that's why it didn't last. What's pshat? Because when a king has perfect yichus, so he becomes haughty. He thinks he's better than the other one. He thinks he deserves it. And the next one gets it because his father was the king. You have to earn it. Can appoint someone to be in control of the tzibur elam kain. If he has a barrel, well, in English it's called a barrel of worms. In the Gemara is calling it a box of dead mice. In other words, when he looks back, he sees that something's wrong. He's not perfect. Then he remembers, he's human. He doesn't deserve it. He has to earn it. Kupa shel shratzim. It becomes a balgaiva. Don't be so haughty. Look who you are. Omer Rav Yehuda Rav. Why did Shaul come to the whole story of Agag? What happened over there? Again, another counterintuitive thing. He, B'teva, was an unbelievable Balmidas. And somebody insulted him in public, and he said, big deal. But he has to realize he's a king. And a king, like the Gemara says, Melech shemachal kvoidai, ain't kvoidai machal. He cannot be moichel. He has to show that he's the king. Should have taken care of these guys. Who's this guy? Every generation they have this. Who does this king think he is? They didn't bring a mincha, they didn't bring and he was quiet. You have to go to the end of the pasuk, the end of the sugi over there. Bottom line is he won the war, and then they came to him and said, no, now take care of these troublemakers. They made fun of you. Kill them. He says, nah, it's not a good time now. It's the first day. Kitzer. He was moichel on his covet. For that, he got punished. Then that tripped him up to do Agag. Huh? I'm oimed on my covet. Chas v'sholem. You see, I'm not going to be oimed on my covet now. Even though you're vaysh mi b'rabim. Zog the Gemara. V'amar b'yoichanam sh'rib shem b'yit tzadok. Kol tamid chachem she'eni noikim v'noitik v'nachosh. Daf chav gimel Amud Aleph. V'on chato adi noi le'inem el chaylam. Sha'kol ni'eh b'dvaroi. You have to be like a snake, says the Gemara. He has to take revenge. He has to hold a grudge. I'm a snake, yeah. Don't cross me, Judah. Don't cross me. You have to be noitim. If you're not Talmid Chacham. Ask the Gemara. How could the Gemara tell you to do something against the Torah? Torah says, do not take revenge. Do not hold grudges. Where's the grudge? The grudge is in the head. You got to remove it from your head. You can't be upset at somebody. Says the Gemara. So now we're going to go through, there's a few things that we have to understand. So typical Gemara. We're going to go through, the Gemara throws us a line here. Okay, so we have to remember that when it comes to monetary things, you do not hold, wow, Shmag, Zalman. Here, let me see that. Here, bring it up here. The famous Gemara, what's considered Zalman, Pshi, wow. Beis Hamikdash for the Olam. How long did it take you to do? 2 days. 48 hours straight? Only in the evening. You're an amazing puzzle maker. You should be zoichet to figure out all of Shas the way you figured this thing out. I don't know how you did it, but it's amazing. Wow. Here. Shkoyev Zalman. All right, let's put it up in a special place here. Oh, right here. Okay. Zog the Gemara. Eizu Nikima. What does it mean to be noikim? Beis Netira. What does it mean to hold a grudge? Nikima Omer Loi. Hashileini Magolcha. This is a magol, a sickle. This guy right over here. I want to borrow this. Lend me this. Omer Loi Lav. No, I'm not going to lend it to you. Lumachar Omer Loi. Who? The lender who refused comes to the borrower who didn't get his magol. Hashileini Kardumcha. Obviously, you don't have a sickle, because otherwise you wouldn't have tried to borrow it from me. But could I have your axe? What are you talking about? I'm not going to lend it to you. You didn't lend me yesterday? That's called nikama. He says, could I have your axe? Look, I'm naked. I don't have clothing. Could I have a shirt? So he's not going to be a rush and say, no, you can't. I don't have clothing for you. He's going to go without clothing to shul. Here, take this. I'm not like you. You think I'm like you? You didn't lend me. I'm going to lend you. That's holding a grudge. Zuhi natira. Now, first of all, I wish I didn't know this halacha. I learned this halacha when I was a kid, and it got me into a lot of trouble. The Chaim says that nekima dumi de natira. My father used to say, you're not allowed to hit him. It's nekama, or the Rebbe. I was like, the Chavetz Chaim says, nekima dumi de natira. If a guy slaps you, you let to slap him right back. The Chavetz Chaim says it. I wish I didn't know that halacha. And if you didn't hear that, you guys didn't hear that. What? Fine. And here's the thing of not holding a grudge. This is what Gershon Edelstein said yesterday. Don't hold a grudge. I don't know if he knew it was in the daf. I don't think he does Daf Yomi, but okay. It was a crazy story, also not for kids. There were two sisters, and they didn't speak to each other for 40 years. Famous story. I read it just recently. And one of the sisters was on her deathbed, and she said, I'm dying, call my sister. She calls the sister in and says, it's terrible we did. Yeah, and they cried all over. She says, come, I need to give you a kiss. She comes in, she leans in for the kiss, and such a scream that no one ever heard. They take a look at her, half her nose is missing. She bit off her nose. And with a beautiful smile, she died. That's nekama, that's natira, that's holding a grudge. And the last act the person does, instead of saying vidu and kriyashma, bites off somebody's nose and goes to Tehillim. All right. Ma'aseh Shahaya is in a book. I'll show you the book. Somebody zoom in on Nachman Seltzer, please.
I always wonder who helps these guys decide what stories to put into their books.
You see, by the time you write a certain book, you are going to change your mahalach. The certain stories that the other wants to hear, the other wants to say over. So we just said, okay, when it comes to monetary damage, you have to let it go. Talmud Chacham lets it go. But when it comes to being embarrassed by somebody, Talmud Chacham should not let it go. He should be noikim. Somebody's mevayishim, he's mevayish the Torah, take care of the Torah. Not forget about you. You're doing it for the Torah's sake. And if somebody harms you physically, Matanya, one of the best Gemaras ever. Nachman, actually, I was going to call you up yesterday to ask you. I remember you said a beautiful story here. I forgot what it was. By Reb Chaim Kanievsky and how it had effect on somebody else. Beautiful madrega of somebody who's insulted and doesn't return the insult. He hears his disgrace and doesn't answer. So there's actually three different things going on here. The Haneh means that he answered, but he didn't insult him back. He said, why are you saying that? It's not true. I didn't do it. Doesn't even talk. He doesn't say a word back. He's happy with Yisurim. To follow up on the story that I just said, there's a beautiful Rambam here. I'm going to read it inside because you're not going to believe it if you didn't. It's actually the Chavis Alvavis, but I didn't find the Chavis Alvavis. It's in Pirkei Avos, in the Perush and the Rambam on Pirkei Avos and Perik Daled, Mishnah Daled. And he says like this, if we can find it here. He says, what does it mean that you're so happy with Yisurim? He says that Ma'aseh Shahaya brought down in one of the Sfarim of the Musar, and he means the Chavis Alvavis. He says, he asked the guy, a chassid, what was the happiest day of your life? He says, I was in the worst place ever in the ship with the luggages. They were very wealthy people. I was minding my own business. One of the people of the boat, I'm saying it inside because you wouldn't believe me if I didn't say it inside. Kom lahashten. He wanted to relieve himself. He relieved himself on top of me. It didn't bother me at all. I was so happy that this is not that he was able to overcome it. It's the happiest day of his life when he realized that did not bother him. He was not upset at that person. No, he was actually happy. That's what the Gemara says over here. I was not happy at all. No, not because Chas V'Shalom, it slapped me in the face, but because I couldn't say V'anachlu Kairim with such kavanah like I wanted. They're happy with Yisurim. The happiest day of the guy's life. Just like the sun, when the moon started complaining and saying, hey, how come I'm not as strong as this, with the same strength and I want to be strong? Sun didn't say a thing. And what happened? The sun remained the sun, and the moon is only not even a fraction, just reflects off of the sun. Says the Gemara, the Talmud Chacham is not going to do nekama. He's not going to go take revenge. He's just going to remember. Do not forget what that Amaretz did to you and he cursed you out in public. But when somebody else takes revenge, you're not going to be merneh. You're going to allow somebody else to take revenge for your kavod, and you're going to remember it. But you yourself are not going to take the revenge, says the Gemara. There's once a guy who said he mooched thousands of cigarettes in his life, and he hardly remembers a single one of the people that gave him a cigarette. But there's once a time when he asked the guy for a cigarette, and the guy said no. That guy he remembers big time. That guy he'll never forget. The guy that didn't give the netira, that's a koyach. All right. Asked the Gemara, but Rava says, how does this Talmud Chacham have the right to hold a grudge? If you don't hold a grudge, to be moichel everything, the Talmud Chacham doesn't want the mechila, the mefayis. He's talking about if he comes to ask mechila, great, you have to forgive him. The guy wasn't mefayis. He didn't ask for forgiveness, so you could hold a grudge, and if somebody else takes revenge, great. So basically, the Gemara is saying here, if it comes to money, you have to let it go. If it comes to physical harm and curses and that sort of thing, hold a grudge, let somebody else do it. However, if they come to ask mechila, then you have to let go of the grudge. So it says that if there's a tie in the race, so you put them all in a circle, one of them takes off the hat. We have a hat here. Beautiful. Where's the other hat? I think he didn't realize there's a hat. Oh, here it is. It's in there. Mati, can you give me the hat, please? Just pull it off. Yeah. So anyways, they're wearing these hats, the mitznefes. One of them removes the hat. Yeah. Oh, Kodesh Lashem just hit the ground. And that's $1,000 down the drain. All right. Okay. He's wearing this hat, and they take off, they decide it looks like this. You could see it's just wrapped around like this many times. That's what it is. I think maybe something like this. And maybe it's the Gittel, yeah, I guess. And one kind takes off his hat, and maybe they start from him, and he picks a number, and they go with that number until he reaches that number. And when he reaches that, now let's say he says 100, so he keeps on going around in a circle until he gets to Mr. 100, finger number 100. That's the one that wins the lottery. It says in the Mishnah, you could put out 2 fingers or 1 finger. You're going to see soon. You only count, even if it's 2 fingers, you count it as 1. But if you can put out 2 fingers, so certainly you can put out 1. When a person is too sick to make his finger straight, he could put out 2. What business does he have being there, running and racing? Okay. He's hoping to be part of the lottery. So, yeah. The chayla could take out 2 fingers. Vayechidin, what's a yachid? According to Rashi, yachid means a chayla. But we just said chayla. So Rashi says that this chayla is, let's say he has the flu or something, so he's sitting on the side. So afilu shtayim moitzin, he could l'chayra use 1 finger. He could do it like this. He's just on the side. He wants to be away from people. He's strong enough. He's not 100 years old. He can't. Nevertheless, he could use 2 fingers. He could put out 2 fingers. But we only count it as 1. He only counted as 1. Why? You shouldn't put out the middle finger. I don't know if that goes with the other. Fine. You shouldn't put out the middle finger, but like Gittel and not the thumb. Because when you're in a circle and the kite is going really fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you make a cheshbon. You're smart. You see that this 25 kohanim, and he's going to, in the next circle, he's going to hit you. Let's say at number 100, he's going to hit the guy right after you. So what do? You put out 2 fingers. You go like this, and he's going to count you. Let's say in the 3rd round, he's going to count this as 2, and Mamela, he's going to miss your neighbor. And then you're going to put your finger back as he passes you. And on the next round, he's going to hit you. You do the calculation real quick. You see how many people there are. Based on that, you put out 2 fingers. You can be a rabbi. So no thumbs allowed. He gets malchus. If you put out your thumb, you get malchus. So, but it says here, why are you telling me? They only count 1. You see, you do count it. No. We're scared. We're talking about that he only counts 1. My pakia. What does it mean to get malchus? Omerav madra. My madra. Or papa. Matriko detaya the psik resha. It's a type of a whip, says Rashi. We have a picture. Somebody sent this in. Somebody asked Refuah Groskov from London. He says if the older chaver remember what cat o' 9 tails means. No? You're not allowed to say that? Whipped by this. This is what they used in. They invented it supposedly for the British Army. Basically, it's thin string, so it hurts more. This is a famous joke. So, what bracha do you make before you whack somebody? L'sativ b'tzitzis. You take these, like it's the first thing you show. If you ever got whipped by one, you know what I'm talking about. That's what it looks like. Shtickle tzitzis here, no? What? Yeah, it's occasionally die, but you have to. Fine. So this is the pekia. What? Great. Zog the Gemara. People are learning ahead. Great. I like when they learn ahead to send me the pictures. Don't learn ahead. Stamazai. But if you're going to send pictures. Omer Abaya. Yeah, exactly. More the better. When it says in the Mishnah that Ben Bavai was in charge of the Pekia. Amina, psilta. I thought he's in charge of wicks. I thought Pekia means wicks. It's not. It's talking about Simchas Beis Sheva. Simchas Beis Sheva, how did they make the wicks for the Beis HaMikdash? From the worn out clothing, from the belt. Here we have a belt. What else do we have here? Oh, we have Mechasayim also. Where's the Mechasayim? Trousers. This is great. See this? It's beautiful. Gachkas. Yeah. So the worn out ones, they made it into wicks. So I thought that the pekia means, mafkim means to make it into strips. He's in charge of making it into strips. If somebody sticks out his thumb, he gets whacked from the pekia. Amina my pekia nagda. It means a whip. Scary story here. Very sad. One looks at the other, they see that they're equal in the race, and there's a problem here. And he wants to win, he wants to do the Trumas Hadesh, and he didn't get up for nothing. He has to do it. He took out a knife and stabbed him in the heart. It gets worse. Omer Rabbi Tzadok. Al Malois Ulam va'Omar. Rabbi Tzadok stood on the stairs of the Ulam, says Rashi over here, Bahar Abayis Ulamis Harbe Banasham Hurdus. It's not in the Ulam like we know, we're like right over here in the Ulam. It's not talking about these stairs. Because nobody would be able to hear him over here. Who would be able to hear him? These people right here. He stood outside somewhere where there were a lot of people, and he said, says Rashi, K'moshe Kosev B'Sefer Yosef Ben Gurion, Josephus. So Rashi brings Josephus. I thought it was very interesting. I think we saw it before, but here, if you want a source, some people quote him, they don't, like, right? Rabbi Schoenberg. Oy Veizmir. It's not Josephus. Yeah. Yeah. But it was written by Josephus in Hebrew. Okay, so Rabbi Schoenberg says that what Rashi is referring to is the Hebrew book, but written by that person, Josephus. Okay, but not the book called Josephus. Okay, anyway. Amalis Harabais. So what did he scream? He wanted to bring Klal Yisrael to tears, shake them up a little bit. You find a corpse and you don't know who it belongs to. What do? You bring an egla arufa. This is the kapara. Anu, how are we going to have a kapara? Anu al milahavi egla arufa. Alair, who's going to bring it? Yerushalayim? The Kohanim and the Beis Hamikdash are going to be responsible. Who's responsible for this dead body? Now the Gemara is going to ask, what do you mean, who's responsible? We know who the killer is. We saw it. Okay, go. Everybody realized it's not good. It's not a good matzav. There's a dead person here. You're talking about kapara and everything. What kapara? There's a murder going on here. Unbelievable. He sees his son withering. How do you say mefarper in English? Mamish like a parpar, like a butterfly, is flipping around. He's what? Withering. No? Really? Okay. He's moving. Thrashing in the fall. He's dying. It's his last breaths. What does the father say? Omar hareyu kaparaschem. He should be a kapara to you. That's where the Sfardim get it. Kapara alecha. Kapara. If you've been to Israel for 5 seconds, you probably heard it in the taxi. And then he says something incredible. My son is dying away over here. Sakin. Rabbi, get the knife out of him immediately. We could save it. It won't become tameh. He's not dead yet. His son is dying. He's not screaming at Tzala, nothing. He's worried about the tumah of the silly knife. Can you believe it? Somebody told me that they asked Reb Chaim Kanievsky, they sent him a letter. How did this kohen get a knife? So he wrote back, L'may nafkamina. It's the story he told me. What do you care? It's none of your business, I got it. It's a story. Kasha v'maisa. That's what he said, basically. He cared about tahara of kalim, that we discussed this. They lived tum and tahara. Everything is about tum and tahara then. It was like COVID. You can't come close, go mishuga. But there's a knife in the kid's chest. Okay, fine, but I have to worry about the tahara now. Because Menashe in the early generation killed so many people, they became desensitized to murder. I read once in one of those Malcolm, what was his name? I forgot his name already. Anyways, Malcolm Gladwell. What? Gladwell. So he said, he said that in World War II, only 20% of the US soldiers were able to pull. If they saw the enemy, they couldn't even pull the trigger. Only 20% were able to pull the trigger. The enemy, the German is there, can't do it. In the Korean War, it went up to 55%. And Vietnam is 90%. Tainas, it's because of TV. They became desensitized by watching again and again murder over and over. Okay, you could kill. But in World War II, they couldn't do it. They didn't have the... You become desensitized when you see these kind of things. You see so many people dying like flies. No, another guy died. What? Kill 1, 2 kids. After 5 million, they became used to it. Look, Gemara. Ask Gemara. Hey, Ma'aseh Kadam. We're flying out of time here. Hey, Ma'aseh Kadam. There's 2 stories. A guy got shoved off the mizbeach and he broke his leg, and the guy got killed on the mizbeach. Which came first? Think about it. If the murder happened first, why didn't they change the rules right away? There's a murder. Why are they waiting until the guy falls at the mizbech? Who cares? It's nothing compared to murder. They should have changed it back then. But the guy broke his foot first. So if they changed it, then how is there another race that the Kohen pulled out a knife and stabbed the other guy? They already fixed it when the guy fell off the mizbech. No, of course the murder happened first. You're going to bring a riot from a Meshugana? A guy kills somebody because of a race? So the guy's nuts. They put him in a insane asylum. We're not going to change rules because of him. But then they realize, wait a minute, this is serious stuff. A guy just went flying off the mizbeach. He broke his leg. We got to change things around. Given the chaza, feeling also they sakana. Taking Rabbanan Beis. Omer telling Amalis Hulim Omer. Achinu Beis Yisrael Shamu Shimu Hareo Mekim Yotzachol Bad Dama Onami Lahavi Alazaris. Okay, so that we had before. He's saying, who's going to give us a kapara? As the Gemara of Yerushalayim Basasuya Egla Rufi, you can't even bring a Egla Rufi in Yerushalayim. It's not a city owned by anyone. But Danya Asar Dvarim Never Yerushalayim. We're turning Daf Gimel Beis sponsored for Shidduch v'shen the Rachel bas Avraham Tzvi, and Shidduch for as Devora bas Leah Gittel and Devora bas Suri, and Le'ilui Nishmas, all the victims of Meron, Refuah Shleima, for those still in the hospital, need a Refuah, and a Neshama for all the Mishpachos. But you don't need a Mivi Egla Rufa. Yerushalayim doesn't bring an Egla Rufa, as Rashi points out. Remember we had a Machlokes? Is Yerushalayim divided between all the Shvatim? Not divided over here it says Yerushalayim is not divided, according to the man it says Yerushalayim is not divided by all the Shvatim. It's no one. So who's going to bring it? It's nobody. No one's fault. It says in the pasuk Va'id. It says by Egla Rufa, you don't know who the murderer is. You don't know from what city it comes. So you measure and you say the closest city has to bring the Egla Rufa. But over here it's obvious. We know that Reuven is the one that stabbed Shimon. He's trying to move the nation. And that's why he gave a Musar Shmooze and he used that mashal of Egla Rufa, but didn't really mean it literally the way it is. He's just saying, you need a kapara. This is your kapara. Ask the Gemara. What happened there? Is murder considered less? They become really desensitized when it came to murder? But nothing changed when it came to Tum and Tara? Or maybe murder remained the same. Maybe they went crazy all of a sudden. It's a generation. Then they went berserk when it came to Tum and Tara, and that's why he started talking about the Tara. But the Gemara says, it's trying to show how you became desensitized to murder from Menashe. So you see, it's murder that went down, not the Tahara going up. Up until now, we were talking about Trumas Hadeshin. This is Trumas Hadeshin. I don't have a picture of Eitzah Hadeshin. Trumas Hadeshin. Kohen in the morning, every single day, takes this, a shovel full, and puts it next to the Mizbeach, gets absorbed into the ground. But the Torah says that there's a concept called Hoitzi Hadeshin. When it fills up that much on the Mizbeach, every once in a while, it just piles up a lot, remove it all. Clear it out. Bring it outside of the Beis HaMikdash. No. It's after. It's already Nasa Mitzvah, no Kedusha, but it's a mitzvah to take it out. But it says, look what it says. Belavash begadim acherim. Do not wear the clothing that you're wearing up until now. You have to wear other clothing. So I would think, Shemani kederach Yom Kippurim. Just like on Yom Kippur, Shapaysh bigdei kodesh v'levish bigdei chol. On Yom Kippur, he changes from his. This is the Bachrim just bringing. On Yom Kippur, he goes back and forth from the white to the Kadosh, to the Shmona Begadim, to this guy. Yeah? And he wears the Chayshin, and that's it. I should probably wear this down for the picture, why not? Like this. No yarmulke. All right. Reminds me of the day that I walked to my son's school without a yarmulke. I'm used to it, listen. But I never give a shear without a yarmulke. That would have been unbelievable. Okay. No. 4 begadim and that's it. Be medaika what I'm saying. There's no tzitzis, no other things. It was trousers, no yarmulke, and a hat. Why should they wear a yarmulke? What is this? So memela l'chayra, I would think that this just like a kohen goes from shmoyne begadim to 4 begadim. So this kohen acher means he goes from his white. All these kohanim are wearing this. They're wearing this guy. He should take this off and wear this. He should wear bigdei chol, wear regular clothing. It says the word begadim twice. Why? What's the extra word begadim? To teach us, they have to be the same type of begadim. Begadim. It's a hekesh. What he removes is kadosh. So he puts on another pair of clothing that's kadosh. Okay. Now why is he doing this? We'll see in a second. The idea that, have you ever been to a bonfire on Omer? It stinks. The smoke, the ashes, it's terrible. So you don't want to get that on your clothing that you're doing the avodah HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're taking out ashes here. From what? From a place that's full of fire and this korban is burning. It's terrible. That's not how you are Oved Hashem. So you put on another clothing. What does it mean? The others? Chusim Acher means different. Says Rashi, shachok. Or, opposite of what we have today. Today, when you buy a pair of cotton tzitzis, they turn from white, like an undershirt, goes from white to yellow. In those days, yellow is chashiv. Yellow is chashiv. So if it's white still, that's not chashiv. And if it's worn out, those are the chayim. You should wear the shvacha stuff. Omer comes Rabbi Elazar and says no. Acherim v'hoitzi. It's not referring to the begadim, it's referring to the type of a person. It's a different type of a human being. It's a different guy. What does that mean? A person that has a mum could take out the deshen. What does that say? What does that tell us? It tells us that it's not an avodah. If somebody that has a mum could take out the deshen, so it's like removing trash. You don't have to, it's not an avodah. It's not putting the dam on the mizbeach. He's removing, he's cleaning up, doing cleanup. So even a kohen that has a mum that does not allow him to perform any avodah in the Beis Hamikdash can perform an avodah. It's not an avodah. Omer, acherim chusimahem. Ketana Be'er Yishmael, Tana Be'er Yishmael, begadim shebish b'hem gdeira l'rabbi, l'hinzu kais l'rabbi. Where you go and you're pouring wine for your Rebbe, make sure that it's not the same stuff you wore in the kitchen. You have splatters from all the food and all the things. It's not the same thing. So you have to do it b'kavod. So this is one line here in the Gemara. Again, it says in the Gemara that when you pour wine to your Rebbe, make sure you're wearing something else. From this line, the Taz learns halacha, and he says that you're not allowed to go into the bathroom with your talis. When you're in shul, you cannot go into the bathroom with your talis. You just daven HaKadosh Baruch Hu, do not go into the bathroom. What about a talis cotton? Talis cotton is okay. The Mishnah Berurah passing is okay. There are those who even remove their talis cotton, and there's some that say only if it's above your clothing, like Hasidim wear it on top of the shirt, they should remove it. But the Mishnah Berurah passings, you're allowed to go in with the talis cotton. But it's based on this Gemara. I'm just saying that you have this line, you wouldn't even dream to do something with it. Taz has a whole halacha out of it. What? But it's a begin mitzvah. It's a begin mitzvah. Well, you should take off your socks too? Everything? So now you have to go to the mikveh to go to the... No, it's a begin mitzvah. All right, Zog the Gemara. That would have been a good idea, actually. Take off your socks, go in, come out, and put the socks on. Okay, they didn't think about it in the churba. All right, this is the Gemara. Omer Shlakish. Comes Rish Lakish and says, guess what? Just like we just said that to remove the ashes completely from Beis Hamikdash, not to be confused with Trumas Hadeshen. This is Hoitzah Hadeshen, Trumas Hadeshen. This is Trumas Hadeshen that happens every day. Hoitzah Hadeshen is more like removing the trash, removing all of it. But it's just like by Hoitzah Hadeshen, I just said, Rebbe Eliezer says that Rebbe Eliezer, not Rebbe Eliezer, that a Baal Mum could perform the Avodah. So too, that's a big chiddush. Because this is more of an avodah. This is special. It's not to clean. So take a little bit, a scoopful, you put it in the ground, a nace happens, it gets absorbed. A Baal Mum could also do it. According to Rish Lakish, according to Eliezer, the same thing applies. But when it comes, the machlokes is only one thing, removing all the ashes. But to do Trumas Hadeshen, everybody agrees that's an avodah, and a Baal Mum cannot perform it. My time of the Rish Lakish, Omelach. Look at this. The Torah says that the kohen has to wear this and this. The trousers and the ksoinus. That's it. What happened to the belt? What happened to the hat? There's two more, hat and belt. Torah doesn't say it. So you see from here, it's not an avodah. Why would the Torah say just wear two? It says mamish, michnas bad. Midoy bad is one, is this. It doesn't say ksoidus, we'll see in a second why. U'michnas bad, two. So it's not an avodah. Yizok, the avodah is ksher b'shnei malbushim, b'shnei kelim. Rabbi Yochanan, Gali Rachmana b'ksoinus u'michnasayim, vu adin l'misnefes avnei. It says, Rabbi Yochanan, listen. They want to go through all four. The kohen never wears less than four. It's a given he wears four. What, he should go without a yarmulke? He should go without a belt. You need all four. So then why did the Torah say two? To tell us that you need all four. But why did the Torah pick those two? Because each one has a special chiddush. Why did the Torah pick them? Midei bad. It doesn't say the word ksoinus here. It's a ksoinus. It's this. The Torah calls it this beautiful thing. I don't know how you do this. It's like a robe. Tunic. Doesn't say it. It says midoi bad. Midoi kimidasai. That it should be to his measurement. Meaning, shouldn't be dragging the floor. If you're a slim guy, you don't take an extra large that drags to the floor and that comes up broigis with your feet. Now, if anybody wants to see what broigis with their feet is, or something like that, so my parents, I was learning in Panovich, in Yeshiva Ktana, by Rabbi Yehuda Lefkovich, and they left me in Eretz Yisrael. They went back to America, and I was stuck in Panovich. I had to finish up this man. I found a picture of myself in Panovich. You want to know? Here goes. This is my suit. The sleeves are like 6 inches away from here, and my this is how I walked around in Panovich. Nobody knew. No, my grandmother. Okay, anyway, don't publish that picture. That's midoi bad. Midoi kimidasa. It has to be beautiful till the ground, reaching the ground. Michnesei bad. Why does it say michnesei bad? Look at the sanya. Don't wear anything under the michnasayim or with the michnasayim. This is the first thing that goes on. That's it. The first thing. These trousers. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It has to be al b'sarei. That's it. Nothing else. Rish Lakish. How does he know these halachas? And it has to be the right size. That I give you. I'll learn it just like Rabbi Yochanan. Fine. Because it says ma'al b'saroi, so I learn that that's the first one on. But the bottom line is, it says midoi bad and it says michnesei bad. Those are the only two, says Rish Lakish. Fine. At Khan, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shira ma'alois ma'amkim v'sicha adinoi. Adonai shema b'koli. Adonai shema b'koli. Adonai b'nei shmoya. Pas l'chol emanti v'rei. Kisi Adonai k'son ha'shil v'koli. Yisrael Adonai k'madonai chesed v'koli. והוא יבדס ישראל מכל הבן ישראל ואכן כל בן ישראל הנשאנו בצור ושיב יורים בין ביום ובין ביבוש מוקים רחם עליהם יצאו מסור לבוך ובין לאום ושיב לגאולה השתו בגולו בזמן קוריב. Did I show this? I showed this, right? Oh. No, listen. Because once you kill one person, then you kill two, three. The first one. They were commanded.
If you're a real teacher, you would have put the clothing on. I was looking forward to it.
That's not a bad idea. I don't know if it fit. No, it doesn't fit me. I should come in the trousers. Just this.
Oh, that would be great. That's even
I'm sure you would appreciate it. No, what did he say? Just come in with this tomorrow with the trousers? No, just the trousers. Shalom Avracha, Rabbi. Shkoich Zalman. My hat. Just the hat and also the tzitz. The Kodesh Lashem. What? What'd you say? Yeah, the metal Kodesh. The metal tzitz fell.